Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my first video. What is life? I'm on YouTube. After procrastination and back and forth, I'm in this thing. I am here. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kitty Arnold. Welcome to my channel and my little corner on the internet. I am super excited and nervous about this journey. Got all the feels concerning being here on YouTube. But you know what? We've been rock this thing out. First of all, I just want to say thank you to those who have already subscribed and helped me hit my first goal of 100 subscribers. The support, the love, all of that. It means so much. And to those who happen to maybe just stumble across this video, someone shared it and you're like, hey, let me click on it and see what it's about. Thank you for being here, and taking the time and watching today's video up until this point. You taking the time out of your day to be here on my channel, it means a lot. So, if you like my vibe, go ahead and subscribe and hit the post notification so that way you stay up to date when I drop new content. And for the whole gang, go ahead and drop me some comments when this video is over so that way I can hear your thoughts, hear your feedback. I'm a feedback person. I love feedback. I love chit-chatting. So just do your girl a favor and drop some comments. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's video. All right, y'all. So back in June, that just gives you a timeline on how long I have been procrastinating on this project. But thank God for grace. So yeah, back in June, I got to surprise my dad for Father's Day. And I flew out to Cleveland to surprise him on actual Father's Day. I can't remember a time where I've spent Father's Day with my dad. So to be able to spend that day with him and surprise him, it was super special. And, my dad's expression and just how shook he was, I'm just going to go ahead and pat myself on the back. That was a daughter win for me. But overall, the trip was super special because not only did I get to surprise my dad, I got to have a sit-down conversation with my dad on camera about our restoration journey of our relationship. We don't have the typical father-daughter story. We have... Our journey is a little rocky. Well, it was a little rocky. My dad and I are in such a great place right now, and I literally have no one else to thank but God for the restoration and just how far we have come in our story. Because at one point, I told Sir, I don't want anything to do with you. Don't call me. I'm done. So to be able to go from that space to now my dad being one of the top 3 people I would call for anything just goes to show you the hand that God has played in our journey and our story. And also why this sit down was so important to me was I wanted to give my dad a space to be able to tell a father's side of how a father feels when there is strife between a father and their child. I'm speaking from what I've seen. From what I have seen, I have not seen a lot of stories that allow the fathers to express their sides of it. We so often see the child side and how a child feels and what the rift did to them and the traumas and all that. I'm a child in this story. So I relate, my feelings are important and another child's feelings are important. But we don't often see a father's side of it and how the trauma affects the father, or just what has transpired in our father's life that even gets them to that point. So to be able to sit down and have this space for my dad to be able to express his heart, it was a cool moment. We have talks like this all the time. So he's already like expressed to me, his side of it. So just being able to gain understanding and to be able to see that my dad is human, he's human just like I'm human. He has had things that has happened in his life that has caused pains and traumas, and so that causes you to get to certain points of life, just like I have. So just to be able to have that understanding, to be able to extend grace and talk about it has just been amazing. But again, to be able to document one of our conversations was really dope. And it was a God moment, because a couple years ago I had like a clear as day vision of my dad and I sitting down on camera talking about our relationship, so to be able to see that vision come to pass was like, oh my God. Because at the end of the day, this is like, it's not meant just to keep between us, it is supposed to go out. It's supposed to help other child and father, relationships and situations. I don't want to just narrow it down to a father-daughter. Like, I hope that a father and a son, can gain something from this. So I am so excited about today's video. So let me stop talking, and I hope you guys enjoy the sit down between my dad and I. Hey, Dad!
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing blessed.
Welcome to my channel.
I'm glad to be here.
You guys, we have like a real deal setup going on right now. It's real.
Yes.
It is. It's real up in these streets. Reed Scott Agency.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. We are in the podcast room right now.
That's right. It was 3 years in the making, and this is where we're at today. So you get to see all these little fancy cameras and lighting, and it was just a blessing.
I know. I came in and I was like, Jay, I need your help. BT Dubs. Jay is my older brother, and he's like really techie, has like all the gadgets. And I said, all right, I need a setup. He was like, what do you want? And he thinks I'm just going to do like a one camera setup. I'm like, I need a camera on me. I need a camera on Dad. And I need a center camera on both of us. And he said, oh, you want a full setup, a full one. Baby girl knows what she wants.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Dad, we are here today. Well, first of all, thank you for being here today.
Well, I'm glad you came.
Like I said in my intro, I surprised my dad for Father's Day yesterday. Dad was shooketh. How'd you feel?
I couldn't even describe the words. I didn't have the words to say. Only thing I can just say is, what the hell are you doing here?
Literally, that was his response. What the hell are you doing here? Well, I'm really glad that we were able to surprise you. Dad doesn't get surprised because he always figures out the surprise.
Yes.
So everyone held the surprise.
Yes, even my wife, Deborah.
Shout out to Mom. She held the secret for a day.
She held it, yep.
Well, we are here today to talk about our journey of restoration in our relationship, Dad.
Yes.
It's been It's been a journey for sure.
Yes, it's been a journey, but it was worth it. It was worth the wait. It was worth the wait.
Yes.
But we got over the hurdle.
Yes.
And look where we're at today.
I know we've come a long way. As I was saying in the intro, our relationship wasn't the best. And, there was a lot of years spent apart and, some hurt feelings, some pain, me being mean.
Yes.
Mean. And uttering the words, I don't want to have a relationship with you. Please lose my number. Mm-hmm. And you were like, no, mm-hmm. I'm not gonna give up on you. And you didn't.
Yeah. A lot of times, I want to thank my wife because there are a lot of times I did want to quit. And she was like my corner person that always stood there and cheered me on and told me to keep calling, and I think that would help me a lot because my feelings got hurt a lot, but with her and listening to her and and being very understanding, she just told me to continue to talk to you, and I did that, and I praise God for her from doing that because I don't know in that time what I might have done, and I probably would have regretted, if I did stop talking to you, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. I like to, one of the things that we talk about, when we have our phone conversations is I like to say that we have a chance to rewrite our story.
Yes.
And I feel that a lot of times, I'm going to say a father and a child, because I don't want to limit this to just father-daughter. Mm-hmm. I really feel that sons and fathers could benefit from this conversation as well. But a lot of the times, if there has been some type of severance, within the relationship, you don't see a lot of restoration within those relationships. It's a lot, you kind of just chuck it up for what it is and you just walk away from it. Versus, in our story, we had the opportunity to come back together and create something new. Yes. So we didn't have a traditional, you were taking me to father-daughter dances or picking me up from school and we're going to go get ice cream after school or anything like that. If anything, we are rebuilding a relationship as me being someone who's almost approaching 30. So I'm in my late 20s, adult life, and now we are repairing, from a history of just absence, kind of back and forth in childhood and all of that. So my question to you before we kind of jump into our story more of things that happened between us, I wanted to ask you what was it like growing up for you? And what was your relationship like with your father?
I had a great relationship with my dad. It was not a traditional relationship because my dad worked a lot. My dad, so he was known for working really hard. My mom took care of the house. My dad, he worked 12 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. And but excuse me. But my dad made sure we had family vacations, that we went on trips, and we spent them quality times together. My dad was also very spiritual, devoted to the church. So he took roles of superintendent, trustee when I was raised in the church. So church is always a priority in our household. Mm-hmm. So everything was basically, biblical based growing up. So that's the type of relationship I had. He was very understanding, but only lacking is this communication. I didn't have the communication I needed from my dad as far as growing up, things of dealing with life skills, social skills. I had basically learned from the streets.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel like that translated into like our relationship? So my dad ended up remarrying my stepmom, Deborah, and Deborah had a son from a previous marriage. So he's our oldest brother, but I am my dad's first biological child. So being your first child, like, how was that experience from you based off of like the parenting that you saw growing up?
Well, I seen things a little different because I know my father spent a lot of time away from home,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to do that. So I always took on careers that allowed me to have more freedom to spend more family time at home.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily making a lot of money, but making sure I can take care of my family. So, I made sure I worked two or three jobs. And my wife, she's a stay-home mom. So that gave us a lot of quality time with the family. And I think that was very important how we raise our children.
So, you and my mom divorced
Mm-hmm.
shortly after I was born. So what was like the relationship like with my mom after you guys had divorced, and what role did that play in like our relationship and like how you built with me?
Well, when me and your mom got divorced, it was tough. I thought, because I think it's a lot of, breakups is hard. So, so it was a lot of backlash on my part. I had, she made it difficult for me to visit you, visitations. Sometimes I had to do visitations at the house. I couldn't take you away to to my home, and that was pretty tough because of the restrictions of the court order as far as me visitations. Everything had to be like supervised visitations.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I complied by that, by the rules and the regulations of visitation. So, and that was the difficult part. And then your mom, she kind of like moved away from California, so that kind of like took you a little further away from me when I was living in California at the time. So, and so that kind of made that was hard because of the long distance. And then in 95, 96, then I decided to move from California to Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So the distance really played a factor in our relationship, not seeing one another. But over time, your mother and I kind of like was reconciling our differences, where she wanted, me to be a part of your life. So, and I remember one time, I don't know if you remember this, I picked you up from in Indianapolis, you and your brother, David, and I brought you to Ohio for a weekend. To Ohio. So, but, in the meantime, distance, I think distance made it really hard for us.
Yeah, I agree. Distance was hard. And I think also what played a role in it is that, mom had hurt feelings too.
Yeah.
So I think with mom having hurt feelings and not knowing how to process her emotions, in that, mom used to say, I never kept you from your dad, which, is probably true. But she also said some negative things about you mm-hmm. as well. So I think constantly hearing like the negative, mm-hmm. I think shaped how I saw you at that time. And then I think, like you said, like distance, like we weren't living in the same state, we were far. So it just brought on these different feelings as a child that I didn't know how to properly process through. Like all I saw was you weren't here, and I associated that with like, oh, you must not love me, or I'm not good enough. Because, you know, as I get older, I see you have like a great relationship with the boys, and you're super involved in like their life. And then there was just like some situations that happened like growing up where, I don't know, I just remember like one day, like it was my birthday or something like that. And I think either you called like the day before or you called the day after, one of them. But all I know is I was just mad because it wasn't like my actual birthday. I think that you had called me, and instead of me just saying, okay, he called, I was like, he didn't call me on my actual birthday. He doesn't care about me. And, you know, it just, my emotions just went left.
Yeah. A lot of that time with me, it was like fear, fear of how you going to receive me on the phone. Fear, sometimes I'm a human being too, I have feelings. And when rejection hurt, remind you of this is one area of my life I felt like a failure, and I you succeeded in everything else, but this is one aspect of my life where I seemed like I was failing, and and so when you start failing, you want to kind of like distance yourself, but you have to pursue regardless. And even though I made it messed up a few times, I had to learn how to keep going, keep moving forward, trying to gain your trust, trying to let you know I'm going to be here, I'm going to be around. I don't want it to seem like I'm hitting and missing.
Yeah.
So, but I think I say I just praise the Lord that I stayed in the game.
And I thank you for that, because I know I am not the easiest when I am upset. And, I can be woman enough to admit that I said some really hurtful things. And, I know that when we would talk on the phone and everything like that, I was for a majority of the time, I was always like really short. Like you could tell I had an attitude. And, I know those phone calls had to be rough for you because they were rough for me. And, like I said, I just didn't know the proper way to like process through different things. And, in those moments, all you can really think about are just like the negatives of like what someone isn't doing, instead of looking at the fact like, your dad is trying, like he's calling you, he's reaching out, like that is a way of him showing, that you're trying. And I know I didn't give you, credit for that. And I'm sorry, Dad.
Well, you was young, you didn't understand. And,
Yeah.
And you're, I understand where you're coming from. You gotta realize is when you're a little kid, and you probably, like you said earlier, like you seeing I'm raising another family, raising my children, and I'm around them all the time, and you desiring for a dad, but he's not there. So
Yeah.
I understand your anger. So you don't have to say you're sorry. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
So I know you said that you just feared like rejection, and, just my response to things. Like, how did you cope and how did you deal with, like after us talking, or after, I said something like mean? Like, how did you feel? How did you process through like those moments of like your feelings being hurt by me?
Well, I know most of the time I know you didn't mean it.
Yeah.
That's number one. I know you were hurt and you were just lashing out. I know that you wanted to make sure I was real, that that you want to make sure I was going to be there.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes you said harsh things to me that, to not for me to call again. So I knew that I had to just keep calling for, keep calling to let you know I'm not here just to, I'm not part-time, or I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm going to be here for the long run. And I know I had to gain your trust. And so I was willing to do everything to gain your trust. So, and then I thank God, like I keep saying, I thank God for my wife. Thank God for my faith. That, because a lot of times I used to pray before I called you. I prayed, and I used to pray, and then I used to tell Deborah, I said, Deborah, we had a good conversation.
Oh my God.
And she smiled at me because, it wasn't like, what you haven't done for me lately. So it was like, so when I got those conversations, because all the conversations wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was just every now and then the conversations get a little rough, but, I had to learn how to take it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I threw some darts, and I threw some hits, and you took those hits. And I remember, our relationship really like taking a turn. It was like back in like 2016.
Mm-hmm.
2016, it was like spring 2016. And I remember you just randomly called me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was after around the time I had said, like a few months I think had went by after I had told you that I didn't like want to talk to you anymore. Mm-hmm. And you just randomly like reached out, and for our first conversation after our first initial conversation after that one was a good conversation. And I think I was really surprised by that. Mm-hmm. Because I think we started like talking about my dreams. Mm-hmm. So we went from a conversation of me saying, don't talk to me anymore, I don't want to talk to you, to our first conversation back was like you were asking me like about my dreams. Mm-hmm. And I remember like walking away from that conversation like what just happened here? And I remember you saying that you had spoke to one of your friends that's a pastor. And you were telling me like he was just encouraging you to like continue to pursue the relationship, but that he really felt that we were going to reconcile, and mm-hmm. that just for you to keep your faith because our reconciliation was coming. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like that beginning moment.
Yes. And I felt the same way. I felt that turn. I felt it was in a positive direction.
Yeah.
I felt healing when that happened. And I just felt that, in a way, I kind of like felt that you were just tired. And sometimes when you just get tired, you just say, ain't no more,
Your guards just come down. You're just like, whatever. Like you're gonna continue to call me.
I can't continue to be a dead horse. And I think that's what happened. I think what happened is you just say, hey, I think what happened is I think you just got tired of being the victim, that victim role, and you just said, you know what, enough is that. I'm not playing that role no more. And I think you just moved in another direction.
Yeah.
You just totally just went into another direction on that. You didn't put fault on your mother. You didn't put fault on me. You didn't put fault on anyone. You just say, hey, I'm just going. I think what happened, you just matured spiritually.
Yeah.
And you just started basically like having more of being more accountable to your own, spiritual growth.
Yeah. And I think even with that, like one thing about myself that, I find as a strength is my self accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and that aspect of I definitely try to do some like self evaluations on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
just to see like what areas am I falling short in, like what can I be doing better, but in and also like what areas am I sucking in, and can just overall like do better. And I definitely never wanted to be in the position where I constantly blamed people
Mm-hmm.
for my own personal like mistakes. Yeah, I was dealt a certain hand, or a certain set of
Mm-hmm.
cards, but ultimately I didn't have to keep those cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't have to like stay in those situations, and that was just a generational thing that for
Mm-hmm.
me, I just made the decision that I wasn't going to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, generationally, I have constantly seen people just continue to play victim, continue to like stay in their mess, and
Mm-hmm.
just emotionally just stay stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want to live like in that bondage anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the areas was us really getting to a better place. I realized that a father is so important, like to a child's life. And obviously, I'd always seek to desire and like wanting that relationship like with you, but not really understanding why I wanted that relationship with you. And as time like went on, I like grew to understand how important it is for your father to be in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we started to like build and connect more, like it started to unlock things in me, and I started to make sense of myself, because I would always like walk around and feeling like, okay, I feel like I don't make sense, because the people around me, like I'm not like the people on my mom's side of the family. Like I'm a little different in like the way that I think, my attitudes about certain things. And when you and I really focused on like building our relationship, and I really started to get to know you, I'm like, oh, that's where I get like the certain characteristics from. Oh, this is the reason why I think the way that I think, because like we're very similar.
Yeah.
And it was really scary.
Mm-hmm.
And you often hearing people say like, oh, you're your father's child. And I was like, and when stuff started to like make sense, I was like, yeah, I'm a Scott, like like for real. But I just really grew to like understand like the importance of a father. And when you started to like speak affirmations over me, and really begin to like tell me like my value and my worth, and it was really hard for me to accept it, even though I knew like I was looking for that in different places, like in relationships or in friendships or in what I did, job wise, like looking for different things to validate me. But as soon as you started to like validate me and to speak life into me, things definitely shifted. But I honestly like didn't realize like how hard it was for me to accept some of the things that you were saying. I don't know, like, because I don't.
Why was that?
I guess like from dealing with so many years of just like feeling like that abandonment and that rejection, you really start to feel like, okay, I'm not good enough.
Okay.
Maybe I don't deserve like those types of affirmations. Maybe I don't deserve to have like these certain type of relationships that I'm desiring, because like maybe there's just something wrong with me to where I just can't have that stuff. So when you were like speaking those things, like instantly I wanted to like reject him and be like, no, like not me. Like I'm not this.
Yeah. Okay. Remember that conversation we had in the car? We were driving. I think we were in California. And I asked you, I said, why are you so hard on me than you're your mother?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that conversation? Reflect on that.
So so for y'all who don't know, like I've had tension, or I don't know the right wording. The relationship with my parents is not the typical relationship that I guess one will have with their parents.
Right.
So even though like my mom was around, like my mom and I like really didn't have a good relationship. Mm-hmm. So as a child growing up, I'm like, I don't got a good relationship with my mom. I don't got a good relationship with my dad. Like, I don't even feel like my mom likes me half the time. My dad's across the United States living his own life. I'm like, what is going on? Like, how did God bless me with parents who just really don't want nothing to do with me? Mm-hmm. But I gave my mom like more grace in a sense, because even though like our relationships like wasn't the best, I'm like, oh, well, at least she's been here, mm-hmm. And so I just gave her, I guess, more grace just in the fact that she was there, mm-hmm. versus like you being gone. But then also too, I feel like, obviously, like I really feel like now reflecting back on it, like the enemy wanted us to be separate. Mm-hmm. And he really wanted like us to not have the type of relationship that we have now. Mm-hmm. And I'm growing to understand the reason why like there was so much resistance and there was so much fight, mm-hmm. against us, was because we really do have the potential to really help and shift and change other people's lives with our story. Mm-hmm. And I have like grown to understand just in life in general, like the hardships that I have faced, it's not for myself. Like God just didn't want to be like, girl, I'm just going to throw you in the fire like every 2 seconds just to throw me in the fire. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm going to throw you in the fire because I need you to get these lessons and to sharpen you and to build you up and all these different types of things, get your character together, because like you're really going to help to shift and change someone else's life. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know. I think the more that I got to know you and saw how much like we were like the same, I guess like sometimes I just felt like, well, you know better. Oh, okay. In a sense. So I think that's probably why I like held you more to a standard, mm-hmm. without really understanding it at the time, because I'm like, oh, he just knows better. Mm-hmm. I think because I also saw the way that you handled like your boys and stuff too, and I would consistently hear like praises like all the time. I remember actually from Al called me and we would talk and all these different types of things, and he would tell me like everything that you're doing, and your dad's so great, and your dad is this, your dad is that, your dad like is being honored and all. And I remember I used to talk to Al like, if you don't get off my phone, like I don't care. Because I don't see that side. Like y'all are seeing a side of Chris that I like personally have never seen. So it doesn't like at that time it didn't matter to me how good you were doing, because I didn't get to experience like that good side. Like I've only seen like one side, and that was like that absent side. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, I think I just rambled,
okay.
but
That's okay. Now I understand. I was always curious at why in the heck she is so hard on me and not on her mom, but you like you say, you held me as a higher standard.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that.
And I didn't even realize it. But like as we continue to like really grow, one of the things that I love about our relationship is like now is like, honestly, you are probably like top 2 of people I think to call first, like when I need advice, when I just want to tell some good news to. And that was like a big shocker to me, because again, like we went from like never really talking, mm-hmm. To you now being like the first person that I just want on my side and in my corner. Mm-hmm. And when I started to like notice that, I'm like, oh, like we have really come a long way. Mm-hmm. And I've just found like this, just a newfound like appreciation for you, because again, like you're a well of just wisdom, Dad. Like sometimes you say things to me and someone else can like say that same exact thing, but when it comes like from you, it means so much more. And I've come to understand, because again, like it's coming from my father. And I just, again, like I didn't realize like how much of your presence I really needed in my life. And I just feel like a father and a child like is so, like that relationship is so important, because again, like I just feel like fathers help set our foundation. Like fathers help give us like identity and help us understand our purpose, and they just unlock these different levels and like tools in us that I feel like other people can't do. I do know like God will send you people that can help, push you and get you to those places, because he's definitely have done that for me. Like, he's sent, other people in my life who have taken place of like mother figures and even, dad figures at times to help push me to the places that he needed me to be. Yeah. So I've just come to like understand like how important like that father piece is to like one's life. And, when our relationship, started to, get better, like I just noticed how my relationships with other people started to get better. Like my relationship with God got better, because there was like a point in my relationship with God where I'm like, God, I know, you're the father and, you're Abba, and like we're your children and all of that. And like this was like a real conversation I had with God. I'm like, but God, I don't want to see you as a father. I told him, like, I don't have the best relationship with my father. And, it's a little murky in that area for me. So I'd rather not see you in that way. But we can be friends though. Like I'm a really good friend, and I feel like you and I can like roll like in that aspect. So once like we started to like really get good, then I noticed how my relationship with God got better, and just how I was even more receptive of just his comfort and his love and his praises and his affirmation. That just, that's a whole nother conversation for another day.